In modern life, not everyone has the conditions to go to the Tungkin Pagoda, listen to the Dharma, or participate in the daily life of a Buddhist. Many Buddhists are busy with their lives, taking care of the whole family, eating rice, children, old and weak parents, and sometimes they're distracted. If we don't go to the pagoda regularly, are we less fortunate than others? The answer to the question of the wisdom of the knowledgeable bodhisattvas, and even the words of the Buddha in the sutras, is no. In fact, the essence of Buddhism is not in the form, but in the mind, in the practice of daily life. A talented person only needs to start the mind of the Buddha every day, keep the mind of the bodhisattva, practice the bodhisattva, then even if he does not go to the pagoda, he can still cultivate good fortune, peace, and liberation. In Buddhism, there are many ways to practice. There are people who choose meditation. There are people who choose meditation. There are people who choose sutras. But for the majority of people in the family, chanting is the most suitable way. Because chanting does not need a large space, does not need a complex tool, does not need a fancy ritual. It only needs the lips to become the mind, a heart towards the Buddha. Then you can enter the path of practice. What does chanting mean? But it is not normal. In a sutra, Ajita Buddha has described the wisdom and power of chanting. If a person chants the Buddha, if he keeps the mind of the Buddha, then even just one sentence is enough to cultivate good fortune. Buddhism has never been limited. Who can chant the Buddha? Those who are highly educated can chant the Buddha. Those who are illiterate, do not know many sutras, can also chant the Buddha. Those who are old, sick, can chant the Buddha. Those who are young, healthy, busy with life can also chant the Buddha. Therefore, chanting the Buddha is called the open door for all sentient beings. No matter who you are, what situation you're in, as long as you chant the Buddha, you can all access the peaceful, tranquil energy from the 10 directions of the Buddha. This is the Buddhist teaching. There is no distinction between rich and poor, wise and stupid. When life presents us with challenges, losses, and troubles, then chanting the Buddha is the source of healing energy.
Each sentence of chanting the Buddha is like a drop of cool water being poured into a painful fire in the heart. Some people, when they lose a loved one, they think they cannot stand still, but thanks to chanting the Buddha, they gradually regain peace. Some people, when they fail to eat, they think they will collapse, but thanks to chanting the Buddha, they find the strength to stand up again. Some people, when they live in a family, they face many difficulties, but thanks to chanting the Buddha, they transform their minds and gradually empathize with their loved ones. Chanting the Buddha is the mantra for the most difficult moments in life, because each sentence of chanting the Buddha is like a ray of light that shines through the darkness. This life is like a large river, full of the wind of life, old age, sickness, and death. If there is no steady boat, we will be swept away. And chanting the Buddha is the sturdiest boat to take sentient beings across the ocean of suffering. As the saying goes, one sentence of chanting the Buddha is enough. In that chanting, we ask for the great power of chanting the Buddha, so that we can be reborn in the Pure Land. But not only in the next life, but right now, chanting the Buddha is also the boat that takes us to the shore of peace, out of the ocean of suffering. Each sentence of chanting the Buddha is like a seed planted in the heart. If we persist in chanting the Buddha every day, that seed will grow, sprout, flower, and bear fruit. Maybe at first we are not used to chanting the Buddha. Our hearts are still confused, and we don't see the benefits clearly. But like planting a seed in the ground, we can't expect it to bear fruit tomorrow. As long as we persist and take care of it, one day the lotus flower will bloom in our hearts. That is the lotus flower of wisdom, compassion, and good fortune. Many people think that chanting the Buddha is asking for the outside world. In fact, when we chant the Buddha, we are awakening the Buddha that is already in us. The Buddha Ajita is not far away, but right in the heart of each person. When we chant the Buddha, That is, we are calling upon the creative mind that is opening the spiritual house of our own. And when the mind is purified, the wisdom is opened, we realize that we can also become a Buddha. We can also live a peaceful and kind life. Chanting the Buddha is not just a method of gathering, but an open door for everyone, regardless of location, situation, or ability.
As long as there is sincerity, as long as there is persistence, anyone can step through that door to enter the world of peace and liberation. Many people often think that only when they step into the temple gate, they hear the sound of the bell, the smell of incense, that they are truly gathered. But the Buddha taught that if the mind is purified, then the Buddha is purified. That is, if our mind is peaceful, kind, then where we are living is also the temple, is the Dharma. A small room with an altar, the Buddha alone. Every day lighting a candle, reciting a few words of the Buddha's name, is also full, no less than the main hall of a large temple. When the mind is focused on the Buddha, then everywhere, every moment becomes a place of gathering. Going to the temple is a fortune, but the fortune is not in the number of times you go to the temple, but in the sincerity and action in daily life. People go to the temple a lot, but their minds are confused. They only ask for fame, but the fortune is not much. People do not go to the temple, but stay at home to respect their parents, love their family, and chant the Buddha every day. Then the fortune is very great. The Buddha once taught that respecting parents is the greatest virtue in life. Thus, a rich man only needs to do 4 things, plus chanting the Buddha's name is more than going to the temple in form, but lacking sincerity. If we look closely, we will see that the family is the small temple of every rich man. Parents are the Buddha living in the house, so we learn to be filial. Children are the Buddha reminding us to practice self-restraint. Husband and wife are friends to practice compassion and love. When we know how to keep the family warm, it is already a great virtue. Every family meal with gratitude, every care will be shared with each other, which is the time of precious gathering. A rich man who can do that, he doesn't need to go to the temple, but still be blessed abundantly. It is not only when entering the temple that is the offering bed. Every good deed in life is also an incense to incense the Buddha.
A gentle word instead of a wooden stick is an incense. Helping the poor is an incense. A gesture in the family to keep the harmony is an incense. A Buddhist chant is also an incense. A rich man just needs to live like that. Even if he doesn't go to the temple, he is still praying and offering incense to the Buddha every day. Some people think that the Buddhist chant at home is not as sacred as going to the temple. But in fact, wherever there is sincerity, there is Buddha. If we only make the Buddhist chant at home, that energy still affects 10 directions of the Buddha. There are many rich people who have experienced that thanks to the Buddhist chant at home, the mind is stable, the family is harmonious, the illness is reduced, the work is easy. It is not a blessing in this life. The Buddha taught, I don't have to run away from life, but I live in the middle of life. I don't have to look for you anywhere. I just need to do my job properly, live with my parents, keep the harmony with my wife and husband. So I should be kind, help the poor when possible, and chant the Buddha's name every day to make my mind brighter. That's all. It's a perfect life. A life of great prosperity does not need to go to the temple a lot, but still has enough good karma to settle down in the present life and aim for liberation tomorrow. I have never taught that you have to stay in the temple to be blessed. I just teach that keep a good heart, have a pure mind, live a full life, then anyone, wherever, whatever, can create merit. If you know that your family is the temple, your parents are the Buddha, every good deed is a flower, a bed, then everyday life is a path of accumulation. And so, you don't need to go to the temple a lot, but still have enough good karma. Still have good karma to settle down in the present life and aim for liberation tomorrow. Every Namo Amitabha Buddha is a seed planted in the mind. When chanting the Buddha's name regularly, those seeds are nurtured. At some point, they will sprout, grow into a forest, a tree, and cover the whole life. Chanting the Buddha's name is not just a word on the lips, but it is a way for us to transform our mind from unease to peace, from anger to compassion, from worry to peace. Every morning when we wake up, let's sit still for a couple of minutes and chant Buddha's name. This is how we start the day with pure energy.
Those who have the habit of chanting the Buddha's name in the morning will see less stress. Work in a busy day, meeting people is easy to laugh at. Just one chant of the Buddha's name can dissolve the heaviness of many plans in the day. This is the blessing of a peaceful day. In the midst of the busy cycle of work, lunch is sometimes a tiring, stressful time. Just a few minutes before lunch, or when we take a break, chant a few words of the Buddha's name and our mind will be at ease. When we chant the Buddha's name while eating, we are grateful for the efforts of those who make rice and vegetables. That gratitude is a great virtue, because those who are grateful always have more blessings. Before going to bed, instead of hugging the pillow, let's sit down, take a deep breath, and chant the Buddha's name for a long time. When we chant the Buddha's name, we leave behind all the troubles of the day and give our soul to peace. Those who have the habit of chanting the Buddha's name at night usually sleep well, have few bad dreams, and are in good spirits. That is the blessing right in the middle of sleep. Many people look for it with tranquilizers, but just one chant of the Buddha's name can bring it. When a person in the family often chants the Buddha's name, that peaceful energy will spread to all members. For example, a wife, husband, or parents chant the Buddha's name every day. They will become gentle, less hot-tempered. From then on, the family will not quarrel, and there will be a lot of harmony. A harmonious family is the greatest blessing in life. Because of money, honor cannot compensate if the house is always full of tension and unease. Chanting the Buddha's name is the key to open that blessing. Some people think that if they want to create merit, they have to work hard, like building a pagoda or building a big bed. But in fact, chanting the Buddha's name every day is meritorious and silent merit. Even if a person is poor and has nothing to build a bed, as long as he has the heart to chant the Buddha's name, that merit will not be inferior to anyone.
Because merit is not measured by material things, but by sincerity and perseverance. A person who chants the Buddha's name often sees that their mind is gradually changing. Their words are less rude, and they become more gentle. Their actions are less hasty, and they become more cautious. Their mind is less upset, and they become more calm. When the mind changes, so does the karma. Unhappiness, confusion, and less anger are replaced by a lot of luck and success. That is the blessing brought by chanting the Buddha's name. There is no need to beg for mercy. Every time we chant the Buddha's name, it is like opening a spiritual path, connecting ourselves with the ocean of infinite compassion of the Buddha. When we chant a sentence, the Buddha hears, the Buddha knows, the Buddha loves. No matter where we are, in a small house or in the middle of a busy street, as long as we chant the Buddha's name, the light will still shine. This is an invisible blessing, but extremely great. This is the blessing of the 10 Buddhas. Chanting the Buddha's name does not require a lot of time. No need to beg for mercy. We just need to persist every day. Every morning we chant a few sentences. At noon, we repeat them. At night, we end the day by chanting the Buddha's name. It's as simple as that. But it takes a long time. That is the key to opening an infinite spiritual path. People who often chant the Buddha's name will have peace of mind, good health, a harmonious family, a good job, and when they let go of this body, they will be guided by the Buddha. In the life of a monk, many people often think that if they want great blessings, they have to do big, grand things, build a temple, build a tower, and make a lot of money.
It means that as long as a sentence of Namo Amitabha, the Buddha's name, is chanted from the bottom of one's heart, the light of the Buddha's value is immediately felt. Meanwhile, if we chant the name of the Buddha, but our heart is still confused and we still think about the name, then that chant is just a sound, not a light. The precious thing is not the number, but the quality. The quality comes from the heart.
Not a few people are selfish because they are poor, thinking that they have nothing to offer to the bed, to make a wish. But the Buddha is selfless. No one is left behind because of the situation. The poor may not have money, but they can still chant the Buddha with a sincere heart, helping others with a smile, kind words, being filial to their parents, being loyal to their family. Although those things are small, but they come from the heart, then the Buddha is not inferior to the poor. The rich give up their money, but lack of reverence. The one who chants the Buddha with a sincere heart will have a sense of compassion, which means that our heart and the heart of the Buddha will be reconciled. At that time, we will feel peace, and we will be blessed by the Buddha. There are many cases. People who are seriously ill, thanks to chanting the Buddha with a sincere heart, they feel better. Even some people get well. Some people are in trouble, thanks to chanting the Buddha with a sincere heart, but they get over it. All of these are proofs that the strength of sincerity can open the Buddha's treasure, which cannot be compared. A person who chants the Buddha with a sincere heart not only creates the Buddha for himself, but also spreads it to the whole family, the community. When there is a person in the house who chants the Buddha with a sincere heart, that peaceful energy will affect everyone. The atmosphere of the family is less tense, more harmonious, and more gentle, because they are nurtured in a peaceful energy. Neighbors also feel comfortable because they are in contact with a gentle and cute person. That is the treasure, not only staying in oneself, but also becoming a treasure to share with the whole society. When we are together, the most important thing is not the wealth, status, or what we have contributed in life. The only thing that brings us back to the Buddha is a sincere heart at the end. If we chant the Buddha with a sincere heart, the last moment is very difficult to focus on. But if we have practiced sincerely, chanting the Buddha with a sincere heart every day, at that last moment, we only need one thought about the Buddha, which is to open the door of love. The Buddha Ajita continues, "The treasure is not far away, not only in the big things,
The treasure is present right in the sincere heart of each one of us. A Buddhist thought, a kind action originating from compassion, a peaceful smile at the right time, a glance to keep harmony. All the little things, but that sincerity is the precious gemstone that creates boundless blessings, illuminates this life, and opens a peaceful path to the next Buddha." In Buddhism, karma is the actions we create through body, speech, intention. A kind word, a bad deed, a greedy thought. All of them turn into a seed, and when it is enough, it will bear fruit. Sometimes karma appears right in this life. When we do something bad, sooner or later we will suffer. But there are also deep karma that will last for many lives. Therefore, our life today is not only because of the present, but also because of the past. The Buddha's thought is to bring the heart to return to the only bright spot, which is the Buddha's name. When the heart is dedicated, when the mind is less greedy, when the mind is greedy, when the mind is greedy, then karma will follow. Every sentence of the Buddha's thought is like a drop of water in the cold, clean, dusty heart. Every breath of the Buddha's thought is like a cool breeze that blows away the fire of hatred. Every thought of the Buddha is like a flash of light that destroys the darkness of karma. Thanks to this repetition, bad deeds are gradually replaced by good deeds. This is the transformation of karma right in our life.
When the Buddhist thought gradually becomes calm, the previous person is more agitated, easier to get angry. This person becomes more gentle, more understanding. The person becomes more anxious, less anxious. This person finds peace in every sentence of the Buddha's thought. Karma is not a fixed thing, but a stream. If we let greed lead us to anger, then that stream will lead us to suffering. But when we put the name of the Buddha into every breath, then we are controlling that stream, leading it to peace. Many people complain that their families are corrupt, their jobs are shabby, their social relations are conflicted.
In fact, it is also karma that appears in life. In memory of the true Buddha, we have more wisdom to deal with the conflicts of our family gradually. We are calmer in work, so it is easier to find a solution. We are gentler, more tolerant, so our social relations are also getting better. It is not that the Buddha from above gives the law of color, but the mind changes, then the scene changes. The old karma is gradually extinguished, the new karma is born. Life naturally changes. There are many people who are seriously ill. Their bodies are painful. Their hearts are full of despair. When they practice the name of the Buddha, the illness may not be over immediately, but the illness, anger, fear, worry, boredom will be cured first. The mind is peaceful, then the body is less painful. There are people who, thanks to the name of the Buddha, their illness is reduced, even recovered beyond expectation. It is not the law of color, but the power of peace and the value of the Buddha's power. There are people who have made many mistakes, committed many sins, lived in the cycle of self-blame. They are afraid that the karma is too heavy and they cannot escape. But the Buddha teaches that all sentient beings have the Buddha nature, which means that everyone has a chance to return to the light. People who make mistakes, if their mind and mind do not stop, then right in this life, the evil karma begins to transform. The evil is stopped, the good karma is nurtured. In the beginning, the sentient beings have opened a new path. They are no longer trapped in the karma. Transformation is not only the dissolution of the old karma, but also the creation of new karma, the good karma. Every Buddha's teaching is a peaceful seed. Every good intention will bear fruit in the future. Thanks to that, the path in front of us will have less obstacles and more light. Buddhists not only save themselves, but also teach their children so that the next generation can also benefit from that good karma. Whether the karma is heavy or light, it is not decided by anyone, but whether we are willing to collect it or not. If we keep letting go, then the old karma pulls us away.
If we know the Buddha's teaching, know how to return, then every day, every hour, we are transforming our karma. The Buddha's teaching is not to move away, not to wait until we enter the temple, but right in our daily life. When cooking, when going to work, when facing suffering, we can all practice. And then, the Buddha's teaching is the key to open the door to good karma, to lead us to peace and liberation. Monks have temples, monasteries, have the law of nirvana to earn money, while lay people are busy with family, work, rarely have time to come to the temple to study for a few days. Therefore, many people think that we live a normal life, worry about everything, probably can't practice, can't have great blessings like monks. In fact, the Buddha never limited the path to enlightenment just for people to leave the world. Monks can still find a way to collect and practice, and the easiest way to practice is the Buddhist teaching. The Buddhist teaching does not require a lot of time, nor does it require a special hiding place. Just a sincere mind, a mantra, the Buddhist teaching, is enough to cultivate the seed of peace. When cooking, we can both practice and meditate. When traveling, we can meditate following the footsteps. When facing trouble, instead of blaming, we close our eyes to the Buddhist teaching to find peace. The Buddhist teaching flows into our daily lives, turning the busy moments into moments of concentration. Monks often suffer a lot of pressure, worry about everything, take care of their families, work hard, complex social relationships. Therefore, the mind is often annoyed, worried, and anxious. When the Buddhist teaching is angry, the mind is often agitated. The sound of the Buddhist teaching is like the wind blowing the black clouds in the heart. People who worry will feel lighter. People who are easily annoyed will feel less stressed. People who are sad will find the light of peace. The Buddhist teaching is the medicine that cures people's mental illness.
The family is a place of happiness, but it can also be a place of conflict. Many disagreements, misunderstandings make people tired. If a person in the family knows the Buddhist teaching and keeps their mind at peace, their energy will spread. The husband is less hot-tempered, the wife is less blameworthy, and the child is less grumpy. All thanks to the silent and peaceful gathering. When a person in the family has the Buddha's mind, the whole family will gradually enjoy peace and joy. In work, the pressure of competition, and hard work easily hurts people. The Buddhist teaching helps us to keep our minds stable, not to be entangled in the cycle of greed, envy, and hatred. The Buddhist teaching works with a calm, bright spirit, which is more effective, and the relationship between colleagues is also better. In society, the Buddhist teaching helps us to live in harmony, easy to forgive, easy to sympathize. A person with the Buddhist mind often radiates a cool energy that makes others believe in it, which is bliss that does not need to be searched for. People in the family do not avoid times of illness, panic, loss of coolness. Some people are so desperate, but those who know the Buddhist teaching are different. In pain, there is still light to guide the way. The Buddhist teaching helps us to be at ease, but at ease there is no more pain, no more heaviness. Many people get sick and become poor thanks to the Buddhist teaching, which maintains peace, even relieves illness. Even if the illness is still there, the mind is no longer confused, no longer afraid of harm. That is peace in adversity. If you know the Buddhist teaching every day, your whole life will be at peace when you are at ease. At the end of life, the most important moment is when the mind is confused, easily distracted, and leads to 3 difficult paths. But if the mind is directed to the Buddha, the Buddhist teachings are enlightened, and the doors of love are opened, and the Buddha accepts them.
Therefore, the Buddha's teachings not only bring peace in the present, but also open the way for liberation in the future. The Buddhist teachings do not distinguish between the rich and the poor, the wise or the poor, the man or the woman, the old or the young. Anyone, as long as they have the mind directed to the Buddha, can practice. The old people chant the Buddha's name to prepare for the day to return to the Buddha. The young people chant the Buddha's name to keep the mind bright, to live a good life amidst many obstacles in life. The busy people chant the Buddha's name to find relaxation, to relieve stress. The suffering people chant the Buddha's name to be comforted. The Buddha's name is truly a path of peace for all people, without excluding anyone. The rich people, even if they are busy, even if they face difficulties, can still find peace if they know the Buddha's name. They do not need to wait until they return to the temple. They do not need to wait until they are free. As long as they chant the Buddha's name, they are already on the path of peace. The Buddha's name not only changes one's mind, but also changes one's family, changes one's life, changes one's fate. And most importantly, it is the shortest, easiest, but also the most colorful path for the rich people to find true happiness. Throughout the journey to find peace, we often think that we have to go to the temple, we have to worship the Buddha, we have to do a lot of good deeds to be able to get close to the Buddha. But the truth is, the temple is not only at the top of the palace or under the tower, but the temple is right in everyone's heart.
Every time we chant a mantra, that is, we are lighting a lamp in the temple. Every time we chant a mantra, that is, we are ringing a bell in the temple. Every time we know how to let go of hatred, know how to love ourselves and love others, that is when the door of the temple in our heart is wide open. Although we have never set foot in the temple many times, although we are busy with work and family, as long as there is Buddha in our heart, as long as we chant the Buddha's name, the temple is right in this life, right in every breath, every step. Remember that the Buddha is not far away. The Buddha is in our heart. When we live in peace, when we know how to love, when we turn to the light of kindness, everyone can build for themselves a temple that still flows in their hearts, so that when the wind of life comes, we still have a place to rest, a place to rest. Therefore, do not wait until you have the conditions to practice. Do not wait until you return to the temple to chant the Buddha's name. Right now, right in this moment, let's chant the Buddha's name. Let's light a candle in the heart of the temple. From there, peace will spread, blessings will arise, and the path to the Buddha's nest will gradually open. Thank you all for listening to these sharings. I hope that each word that I said today will receive a cool seed in your hearts. No matter where, no matter what, as long as we chant the Buddha's name, we have walked on the path of wisdom and peace. I wish for everyone, whether you are a monk or a layman, whether you are rich or poor, whether you are busy or busy, to find the temple in their hearts so that they can live a peaceful, happy life, and finally, be led by the Buddha to the temple. Thank you.